The meeting link is on the calendar at burlington.org. All members are here tonight, so we do not need to do roll call for every vote. If connectivity is lost and we have a quorum in person, the meeting will continue. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is the approval of the warrant. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any question? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? It's 500. Next item is public participation. Is there anyone here for public participation? You can choose your own order. If one of you would start, come on up and give us your name.
Madam Chair, they may want to come up as a group.
Oh, do you want to come up as a group?
You guys have
Chris. Chris.
Okay, do you want to go first?
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll get to that. Remind me.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, sir. No problem. All right.
Can you hang on 1 second?
Of course.
Because I forgot to do something. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's 5-0. Go ahead.
So, hi, my name is Jack Carey. I am a student at Burlington High School, and I did want to quickly touch on the situation that happened both today at Burlington High School and as well on Friday at Burlington High School. So, first of all, I did want to thank the Burlington Police Department. They had a fast and speedy response that definitely made me feel a lot more safe at the school. And I also want to thank all the teachers and staff involved at making it feel like a very, contained situation. However, I did want to touch on the administrative response of this. This has been an issue since Friday with the situation with a knife at Burlington High School. A class was threatened with a knife. However, the administration only communicated to us, the students, and the parents that there had only been a sighting of that knife without communicating the severity of the situation. This has also continued today with the lockdown, which was only said to be about 23 minutes, while in reality it was about an hour. As somebody who was there in the classroom that they had believed the shooter to be in, the police came in very speedily and guns were pointed at me and several of my classmates. It was definitely a very, very high intensity situation, though the severity was not fully communicated to the parents of the students, and I think that that's incredibly important, especially where students cannot communicate with their parents very well with our infamously shoddy Wi-Fi. Kind of going off that, I also think that it's important to be very transparent, especially for students, because right now there's so many rumors circulating about both situations, and right now what we need is truth and transparency. Thank you. I just implore our administration staff to be better for everyone's sake. Thank you.
Thank you. You want me to take everyone and then?
Sure.
Okay. Someone else who wants to come up?
Do you guys want to go? I can go.
Sure, come on up.
Where do I go?
Right up to this table.
Here, I can sit here. Okay.
And give us your name.
Hi, I'm Joyce Gordillo, sister of two students at the Burlington High School. Let me just pull up my notes real quick. So I was made aware of the incident with the knife that happened on Friday, the 20th. I was called by my mom letting me know that my sister and her friend were directly threatened with a knife by a student. We did receive the email with quotes saying, earlier today, before the school day began, a student showed the knife to another student in a bathroom. This was reported to our school resource officer. The BHS administration swiftly acted to address the situation, although the student had already shown the knife to another student in a classroom. Thankfully, BHS staff acted quickly. isolated and questioned the student and safely confiscated the knife. The knife was not just shown. My sister was threatened with the knife. She was threatened to be stabbed. It was not just shown. Police did not question my sister or her friend, nor were they offered the opportunity to speak to an officer. We have heard that this student has been at previous schools and potentially has carried other weapons, even firearms, in backpacks at schools in the past. It is not confirmed that this child will be expelled, which is what we are hoping for the safety of the student body. I do not know what the plan is, but I am rallying and hoping for his expulsion for the safety of students, teachers, administration, and for the sake of us, any relatives, parents, families of students. I also have heard that there was no lockdown procedure after this event happened. There was a lack of response, which is really contrasting with today's response to a false alarm where there were officers with, I don't know anything about guns, but long guns, like rifles potentially. And my middle sister, Jasmine Gordillo, was affected by this as they entered her classroom, which was also unlocked because the locks of that door did not work. And so this was the same with a lock at a different door down the hall in the history hallway, which is a safety issue and should just have been proactively been something that would just be locked. So this was isolated and there was no lockdown. But that was very contrasting with today's. If this boy does come back to school, not only will it be bad for my sister and both my sisters and my family, knowing that there is a threat going to school with them, this will also be something that the student body will have to be comfortable with and accept for some reason, as they would be put at risk every single day, as well as with the teachers. Not only that, the child himself will come back to school having been signaled out, people knowing what has happened, potentially being bullied, having people talk behind his back. That is not good for anybody. Potentially he will be triggered by his surroundings, knowing this is the classroom where I have felt unsafe or have felt upset, and it's not safe for everybody, or anybody involved. If he has been expelled at other schools for dangerous threats and stuff of that sort, I don't feel it is safe for him to continue going to this type of school. He needs something more secure, something that will meet his needs and accommodate for him. And I think that sums up most of what I have to say. I'm really worried about the safety of my sister, all the students, the staff, who I know many were upset and crying during these incidents. This isn't something we should be worried about. My sister should be able to go to school safely without having to worry whether a knife will be pulled on her or not. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Is there someone else who wishes to speak?
I'm on a call and not in person. Am I able to speak?
Yeah. Yep, we'll get to you.
Who is it?
Nino Blum online.
Okay, we'll get to you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Lila. I'm a junior at Burlington High School.
And I'm Nancy. I'm a senior at Burlington High School. And we're here to talk about an event that happened on Friday the 20th. Well, you've heard it from two other participants today. On Friday the 20th, there was an incident that happened in a classroom. It was primarily with two girls in a friend group, but overall in the classroom there was a teacher and a classroom full of 8 to 12 students. On this day, a student had a 10-inch kitchen knife and that was tucked into his bag, and he would use this weapon to threaten the 2 students that were within that classroom as well. He was actively threatening this group of girls, thinking that the laughs that they were having were mocking him. As the teachers try to calm him down and try to escort him out of the classroom, he will continue to yell and attack some teachers, which overall is just disorderly conduct.
Before this incident happened, staff was alerted that the student was showing a knife in the bathroom. As this incident was known, no lockdown or procedure was taken. Speaking on the behalf of other students, a majority of us still did not feel safe in the school. Also learning that the fact that this student had past offenses with his old school revolving around a firearm that he had been carrying around in his book bag. So we know that he is ruthless and many had the right to be scared, but an email was sent out stating that this student was allegedly showing the knife when the real situation was an actual threat towards other students.
Before this incident happened, staff was alerted that the student was showing this knife inside the bathroom. This information is concerning to students, considering that this already happened and this wasn't entirely revealed within the email that was sent out. While we know we don't want parents to overreact, honesty is desired. We and other students think that there should be integrity when it comes to situations like this. For instance, the situation on Friday. One of the families of the girls who was threatened requested a copy of the police report that was filed out. Also, while being told that the child was being incarcerated, but there has no been proper justice, and the family of the girls that were threatened haven't received any justice as we know right now.
Given that there may have been dishonesty on the incident on Friday, there had sent to be a false alarm lockdown that happened today. Has a majority of students in question that there might have been a different cause for the lockdown, considering that no one ever got a confirmation that the student that was specifically the main person who is actively threatening people with the knife was not confirmed that he had left the school or has been expelled. And that concludes what we would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hi, my name's Sharina Kamoga, and I'm a junior at Burlington High School. I like to say the incidents that have been happening recently are incidents that I never believed that could happen to the school that I go to. And it's not because that I believe that this could never happen, but it's because our school ensures safety all the time. But the last few days were definitely days that I felt confused and scared. I want to say thank you to the teachers that made sure that they followed precautions to keep us safe. I want to give a special thank you to my 5th period teacher, Miss Brumby, who kept my classmates and I safe and calm. And also the teacher who on Friday said that she confiscated the weapon from the kid who brought the weapon to the school and threatening other students. In such situations, teachers are meant to be the ones to keep us safe, but in reality, they're only humans too, which I believe that they deserve thank yous from all parents and all staff. And just because they're teachers, it doesn't mean they're not parents, mothers, and fathers, but they're also local superheroes. And I just want to say thank you to them who did keep us safe and made sure plenty of classmates who were in my class that felt unsafe and insecure from the other staffs, that we were ensured safety by them. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. The person online, is it Nino?
Nino Blum, yes.
Would you like to speak?
About that, and thank you for letting me speak. Apologize for not being there in person.
Could you speak up?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry I'm not there in person. But I am the parent of a child who goes to the Burlington preschool that is located at the high school. So, there was the lockdown today. I heard everything went well. Police were, they did their jobs. Everything went great. So I commend them and the teachers for, following protocol and, acting with care and caution in that regard. I guess the one thing that concerns me is that we weren't alerted that there was a lockdown until about an hour after the alarm was triggered, and we were just told it was a malfunction. I guess I'm curious what the protocol is for when there might be an active, potential shooter. How quick are parents notified in such a case? And I guess, is there any place where we can access this procedure and get more knowledge on what we can expect in the event of an emergency? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? No, okay. Do you want to answer that last question?
I'll do my best. Mr. Blum, I think it might depend on the situation, but we're trying to work in concert with the police who are on site. There is a safety meeting that's coming up. Ms. Massardo, you're helping to coordinate that, where I think they can go over some of the protocols. So it's October 9th. It's right here in the high school. And what time is that?
The presentation will start at 7. There's meet and greet with the resource officers and the PTOs starting at 6:30.
So
awesome.
Again, we tried to communicate as quickly and as accurately as we could, and so it took us that time that you were waiting for us to get the message out.
Do you wish to speak to any of the other comments that were made?
No, we want everyone to be safe, Madam Chair. I think I would say that we're sharing as many facts as we sort of possibly can. The incident on Friday involves a student, and we have to be a little bit careful about sharing information about students. Again, the high school, I thought, handled that situation as quickly as they could. I do want to make sure that I recognize the students who went to the school resource officer and told the resource officer that there was a knife in the building, and I think that they should be commended for that action. Obviously the teacher who kept her classroom safe, and I did write to her over the weekend, and so want to make sure we recognize her efforts. The situation today, again, is completely separate and was the result of a faulty emergency button, panic button, and I think that's been addressed. And I can't commend the Burlington Police enough, and our teachers, staff, and administrators, I thought, acted really well. And I guess we practice all this stuff, but to go through the process that people weren't aware of, whether it was practice or that it was a potentially real situation, I think demonstrated that a lot of the practice that we've been doing has been paying off. And that doesn't mean we can't get better. That doesn't mean again, the communication can't happen more quickly or universally, but the response here was incredibly rapid and thorough. So again, not a good situation. It's a hard thing to say positive things about. Wish the incident didn't occur, but that it did. I thought the police, the teachers, staff, and administration, I thought responded using the protocols that we've been practicing. So, again.
Okay, does anyone else want to comment on this?
Just a quick comment, Madam Chair. I'd like to echo Dr. Conti's comment. As the district-wide school safety council representative for the school community, I can assure everyone these protocols are taken very seriously. The drills are taken very seriously, and the debriefs that happen after are also taken very seriously. I can't commend the officers and staff enough. I believe they acted proportionally and with great care to our students and ensured safety. This was folks going in not expecting a drill and acted appropriately. All processes were followed. and I think they responded in a exemplary manner on all levels, and to have the communication come out in about an hour, I think is a true testament to how well organized and how disciplined the staff and the police department are.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I thank everyone for coming, and I just wanted to say to the folks here and at home, to all the students and teachers, I'm sorry this happened. I don't think it was the fault of anyone, but it's a terrible feeling to have, and I wish that no student of any kind ever had to feel unsafe in a school. I do want to commend, I like the term, the superheroes, the folks that followed all of the training that they've had, and the students that, had to go through this experience. And I hope that if folks need help afterwards, we're offering it. I'm sure we have it and we can find it. And I want everyone to be feeling safe in all of our schools. And I, like Dr. Conti said, wish this never happened, but I do think we'll get some positive out of it, debriefing and looking back. But thank you for coming as well.
Megan?
Thank you. This malfunction of our emergency system is very unfortunate, and I know it created a lot of stress on students and families in Burlington and across outside of Burlington as well. I want to thank our first responders, our Captain Hannafin, Chief Brown, Patrick Lyons, and the many police officers who responded so quickly. And it just shows that we have been practicing, like as Jeremy mentioned, that we have been preparing for this, and we are, God forbid, prepared if the worst were to happen. And I'm just so grateful that it was a false alarm today and not something more. We have a tremendously dedicated group of public safety officials, and that makes me feel confident as a parent sending my children to school. And I am deeply concerned about the students, the experience that students have come to express, having, gone to school, wanting to feel safe, and having that experience happen to them. It's unacceptable. But as Dr. Conti mentioned, there's things that we can say about students, and there are things that we can not share about students, and we're doing everything we can to keep you safe.
Being last to speak, there's not a lot more to add to that, but I do want to thank you all for coming and letting us know how you were feeling. Again, we all feel and regret that you all had to go through, what you went through on Friday and how you were feeling, and how stressed everyone must have been today with the false alarm. Again, I want to kind of echo what everyone else is saying. Our first responders and teachers, and the students, everybody followed the protocol as they should have. And if anything positive comes out of this, again, since it wasn't something that everyone knew or was planned, we will learn lessons from this. So I think that that's a positive. If you can look for any positive that comes out of this, please, if anyone is feeling any kind of mental issues or stress, please seek help. We want to make sure that you all feel safe and that you get whatever help you need if you're not feeling safe, or if you're feeling upset over the situation. We do have a lot of resources where you can go seek that kind of help. So again, thank you for coming, and if you need anything else, please reach out to the appropriate officials. Thank you. So as a final comment, I'll be repeating a couple of things that have already been said, but as far as Friday goes, unfortunately, we are unable to discuss anything about our students. However, as Dr. Conti said, we're all very sorry that all these incidents have happened and have scared people. Fortunately, no one was hurt. And as far as today goes, it was an entirely separate incident where a panic button malfunctioned. There was no threat to anyone at any time. The problem was that not everyone knew that. So I have a granddaughter who was in the high school in a classroom in the hallway where the panic button malfunctioned, and I got a blow-by-blow description of everything that happened and how how afraid the kids were and how strong they were, and how it was harder on kids who might have been surprised because they were maybe in a bathroom or somewhere. The kids in the classrooms kind of all joined together and did what they needed to do. They followed all the directions. Nobody was hurt, everybody was safe, and we have to take it as a learning experience. I think there was one classroom door that the lock was sticky, and there was some trouble with that. That is a reminder that we should be checking the locks every day in every door and every building, because what's most important is that we're all safe and that we follow all the protocols to keep everybody safe. So I appreciate all of your input tonight, and thank you all for being here to express your concerns. And as Mrs. Bond said, if you have fear, anxiety over this, please seek help through the high school guidance department. Thank you. Okay? Oh, go ahead.
Hi, I'd just like to make a comment. In addition to the school's mental health counseling, the Burlington Police Department also does offer mental health counseling in times of crisis, so feel free to reach out to them as well if you do feel any need to express anything. Thank you.
Okay, if that's it for public participation, there's no one else online, no one else here, then we'll move on to our next item, which is information and reports. Student report.
I just have a short statement to say about the thing that happened today. In my experience, the initial process of the lockdown went smoothly because everyone treated it as a drill. When rumors got around that it might be real, it was scary for everyone, especially the people in the hallways that were searched first. And I know a lot of people got dismissed, plus many parents were nervous. But the front office was swamped with calls and people, so the mass dismissal process was a bit hectic, but I'm glad people were able to leave if they needed to. And I'm also glad that it was a false alarm and that these administrators and these measures are in place to keep a student safe in case of an emergency. So as for student council updates, we ran freshman elections. So we have a full student council, and accordingly, we will have our first plenary next week to discuss what the grades are planning for this year. As the executive board, we were planning to have one spirit day every day leading up to the pep rally, starting with Devil Day on October 11th, which is like a red out or wear like Burlington gear. The senior class was also discussing homecoming, so they were looking to get feedback from other students on social media and during school on what they wanted the theme to be, and the date would be near the pep rally in November, as it has been for the past few years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments? Oh. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for your comments.
Feel free to stay or leave, whatever you want to do, okay?
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda, subcommittee reports. Are there any subcommittee? Jeremy?
Just like to say, we held the first field subcommittee meeting, had almost every member sworn in. We get a couple more we get to take care of at the next meeting, which will be Tuesday, October 1st. The invite has been sent out. The meeting agenda will be published on Burlington Agenda Center. For the recreation subcommittee report, we are expecting the fields subcommittee report to come in any day now. So we should have that shortly to coalesce with our fields and facilities and start doing that work that Ways and Means had asked us to do earlier this year.
Okay, so it's coming right along?
Yes. And Madam Chair, just Mr. Brooks, that'll be a hybrid meeting, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Apologize, I should have
And
mentioned
when is it?
October 1st at 6 p.m.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Any other subcommittees? No? Moving on, Ways and Means.
Nothing new to report after town meeting last night. We pushed for the funding of the Fox Hill School, and we got the money we were looking for, so that's basically it.
Hey, and let's give a huge shout out to town meeting. What a great vote we had last night. It was close to unanimous. It was 97-7, And it was such a great feeling to see that wall of people stand up in support of the new Fox Hill School. So thank you to everyone out there who either participated in town meeting or who came as a spectator. It was just a really good night.
We consider that a resounding success.
I'm sorry?
We consider that a resounding success.
Resounding success, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, other announcements? Anyone have any other announcements? Nope. All right, moving on. Learning, equity, and thriving.
Dr. Chen. Don't just leave that. Remember, you're just gonna.
Bobby, these microphones
You
are,
don't have to-
why can't we touch them?
We
Because
can't
they're-
hear. You don't want them to get too close.
They're set.
Are they new? Are they different? What's the story on these
We've
microphones?
adjusted all the gains, and now that we have a new audio system here and a new video system here, instead of everyone touching and moving the mics closer and speaking at different tones, it's set up right now to pick up consistently
Really?
across the board.
I'm not used to it. It's annoying.
It is hard
You'll
to hear
get
some
more
people.
used to it.
It'll be
When you
easier
don't
in the
have to
long
touch
run.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Don't turn them on, off. Don't touch them. Just leave them and talk.
All right. Dr. Chen.
Yes, thank you very much, and I've learned my lesson. Where the green tape is, I will not touch anything. Thank you.
Yes, you will. I did.
No, I have reinforcers on both sides. That being said, I just want to digress just really quickly, just to say to all the people who are out there listening that I was most impressed as a assistant superintendent coming in from the state of Virginia, in which we do practice a lot of lockdown drills all the time, because it's Virginia. You're out in the rural community. Very, very impressed last year that all of us, with the police, with the chief, with even school committee members, attended the I Love You Guys Foundation, which is the standard protocol response. You don't see such a show of administrators, school committee members, and even all of the administrators attending such an event, getting a common language. That was continued to followed up with continual meetings, and also what you don't see behind the scenes are a lot of the tabletop exercises that we do to anticipate certain circumstances, so you're always practicing. So I just want to also share that, and we're going to continue on and continue to do this. Also want to thank also for your outreach on October 9th with all the parents and with Patrick Lyons to go over our standard response protocol. But I will say this, coming from Virginia, that this school division does take the safety of all students very seriously. They did a very nice job last year, even of going to each of the schools and taking a look at all the safety and taking a look at that. So that continues to be work that we're continuing to do. And it's everything that you would do in a standard response protocol and to ensure the safety. And also coming from Virginia, there are just certain things that you are not allowed to say when it comes to discipline, which is unfortunate because it scares people, but we have to abide by it, and we just put trust in our administrators who've been doing this for a long time and know that that things will be taken care of. All right. That being said, I just wanted to let you guys know before we go into A and B that we've had a really good progress made when it comes to taking a look at putting Algebra 1 in the middle school. We've started conversations on that. We're taking a look at a lot of pathways that either are surrounding communities have put in, or even the pathways that have been suggested by the Massachusetts Department of Secondary and Elementary Education. So we began that conversations of what might it look like from 5th grade to 10th grade. So that's very, very exciting. That's in the works. The other thing that's also in the works is that the Literacy Task Force, again, will be meeting, and we're looking at 4 different types of curriculum. We have close to, I would say, about 35 folks on that committee, and that includes all the administrators as well, too, taking a look at what solid Tier 1 curriculum is, and that is very exciting. We're continuing our professional development with Gail Lovett on the writing revolution, and just want to give a quick shout out in which on the October to make sure the date is October 22nd school committee meeting. We will be giving the public our MCAS report for the entire district, but really want to give a shout out because this just came today out of all the schools in the state of Massachusetts, only 57 of them were recognized as a school of recognition, and this is an emphasis on the performance of all students in the schools and the school's lowest performing groups, where there's been demonstrated lots of progress made. So I want to congratulate Memorial Elementary School on receiving this distinction that we learned about. And so congratulations to Principal Patricia English Sand and to all her staff. And we've been delving into the data, and we'll give you more so of a full report on October 22nd. But just wanted to pass that along to you guys. All right. That being said, we are in for the middle school student handbook. We're in the second reading, along with the elementary student handbooks in the second readings. I wanted to ask, are there any questions that you might have?
For the elementary one?
For the middle school.
Middle school. No. Any questions? No.
That being said, may I please make a recommendation that this committee approve the middle school student handbook as a second reading?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Marshall Simon student handbook. Is there any question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? It's 500.
Thank you. Also, I would like to bring up, please, the elementary student handbooks. Are there any questions for you? And very, very proud of all the 4 elementary principals. There's one student elementary handbook.
Wow, how'd you do that?
Forced Chen love. No, they were great. They realized that we need to have consistency. I locked them all up in a room, and I fed them, and they got it done. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
My only comment is, it still says Davy instead of David on page 3.
But I changed it, but.
It still said, when I looked at it on Sunday.
I'm so sorry.
still said Davy on page 3.
My apologies to Principal Rosenblatt. We do know your name. It is not Davy Rosenblatt. It is Mr. David Rosenblatt.
Yes.
Yes.
But
It could be worse.
Maybe he's leaning into it.
Davy, why don't we try it on him?
So that being said, that change will be made. I recommend that the committee approve the elementary student handbook with the change of, instead of Davy Rosenblatt, to David Rosenblatt.
Page 3.
There you
Page
go.
3 as a second reading.
All right,
I will make a motion.
Go ahead.
is there a second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? That's 500. Okay, moving on.
Again, Madam Chair, this is really a school committee item,
It is.
so I will defer to you.
Ed, do you want to come up for this? Why don't you? Would make it a little more interesting.
It could be a compliment.
Could be what?
Could be a compliment.
It is. Trust me, it is.
So, how you doing, folks? Everybody's doing okay today?
All right, so we all have the resolution before us. We have not discussed it. It's our first time actually seeing the words and studying it, except before the meeting.
Yep.
On our own. Does anyone wish to speak to this topic? Are you interested in it? Do you, we kind of said we'd take a vote on whether or not we want to make this resolution coming from the Burlington School Committee. Does anyone have any input?
I just had more of a question on, where did this come from, this resolution? This is,
I didn't write it.
okay, no, I'm just,
No, but what I did is I got it from the MTA because they have other,
okay.
statewide,
Yep.
okay? There are school committees being approached.
Yeah.
There are school districts being approached, there are select boards and so on and so forth, and various bodies are starting to endorse. So it's standard language that other places are using. Worcester, okay, some of the other cities and towns that have endorsed this already. And so where that came from was I got that right from the MTA.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Does everyone know? Go ahead, Megan.
What other school committees have endorsed the policy, or what other towns?
The one I can speak to is Worcester. Okay, there's about half a dozen so far, and there are more meetings like this going on where we've gotten it before the school committees in various towns, and I can provide a list. I don't have it off the top of my head. I just came off the fields. I'm a soccer coach. Okay, we lost a game, and I'm here, so I don't actually have a list here with me. Okay, because I actually wasn't expecting to speak tonight, where it was going to be a vote. So, but again, I could easily send that to you folks.
I'm happy to, I mean, I personally support the amendment, what is it called? The question. I support passage of the question in general. I just was kind of procedural. I assume all we need really is the bottom, like, if.
I think it's the whole page.
Right, but all you're looking for is an endorsement.
Correct. So when I just provided that as a template, okay, and you don't even have to use that if you don't want, because all we are looking for is the endorsement.
Yep.
Jeremy, do you want to speak?
Yeah, so again, not opposed to removing the MCAS as a standard. What I am opposed to at this point is I don't think we've heard from the administration or others on what we're going to use to replace that. We are in the middle of 2 very large curriculum realignments, and we need to have something to monitor and control how those are. If it's, is the efficacy of what we're doing the right way? How are we going to monitor and control that? So before I make a recommendation or support something, I got to know what's coming behind it, right? Because while the MCAS is a very imperfect standard, it's the only one we have. So I'm not really necessarily in support of making a recommendation to remove or keep at this point.
No, I understand, and the thing is, that's the great thing about this country, right? We don't all have to agree, and we don't have to be 100%, so.
And absolutely, like I said, I just need to know what's coming behind it, or what monitor controls are going to take place of it.
Right, and I mean, the thing I would say is that there are state standards, okay? And that is a little viscous at this point in time, okay? But the idea is to use the standards, okay, to develop district-based assessments. And the MCAS is a test, and I'll argue that it doesn't really test what the kids know, it tests how well they take a test. So
correct,
and I'm not saying you don't have a valid point.
Yeah, no, and I'm 100% agree with you. I think some ways we skew our students to the test, and I'm not necessarily for that. But again, without knowing what's on the back end of it, I have trouble supporting.
I hear you, and I understand that.
And the only question here is to replace MCAS as a graduation requirement, not replace MCAS overall.
Correct. So like Memorial get a shout out,
yes.
Okay? That could continue, okay? The data would still be there, the benchmarks would still be there, okay? It's just what we're asking is replace it as a graduation requirement, and that's it. So, and that can be a fine line, but it's not getting rid of the MCAS. And personally, I'm not even opposed to standardized tests. When my kids took it in 4th, 7th, I think it was 4th, 7th, and 10th grade, one of them got the John and Abigail's Adams, and I don't want to repeat everything I said the last time, but he got the scholarship, right? My other boy couldn't pass it, but at the time, it was not a graduation requirement. My other boy's doing fine. He's working his bachelor's right now. So the thing is, making it a graduation requirement, I think it unfairly penalizes people, and there's the argument that it's a small percentage of the population. But again, private school students don't have to take it, homeschool students don't have to take it, religious school students don't have to take it, and then the people it impacts are the people that won't necessarily go out and get their GED. Okay, yes, you get another opportunity, but if you don't get that, then you have to get your GED, and it's just adversely impacting the wrong populations, even if it's a small percentage.
Completely agree. Like I said, I'm just not ready to support it this time without knowing the back end. Yep.
Catherine.
No, I was just going to say I support this as well. For many of the reasons that you've stated in past meetings, I feel very strongly, and just having lived in 8 states myself, Massachusetts is one of the, let's say, has more or better school systems than a lot of states. It's way up there in the rankings. So we have very good education here. I also feel that there are kids who don't test well, they get nervous, they freeze. I think that our teachers who are with them every day and who grade them and give them the appropriate grade, whether they pass or fail, they're the ones who should make that decision whether they pass high school and graduate. I shouldn't be on some test that you freeze on or got nervous on or whatever. I also feel very strongly that it limits teachers' freedom to teach to their strengths. I think a lot of times teachers get cornered into teaching to pass the MCAS. And so, again, I know that's not what we're voting on, that statement, but I do support question 2 and eliminating that as a graduation requirement.
I wanted to add.
Go ahead.
I had other comments to make as well. I've never supported the MCAS as a graduation requirement. I think it unfairly works against certain groups, students with disabilities, our multilingual learners. I think it's like 700 students a year don't graduate on average.
Yeah, about 7, 8, something like that.
Yeah, because of not passing this test, and I don't agree with it. I think keeping it, as a test that students take to monitor standards, sure, but as a graduation requirement, I don't support it. I'm not sure if that's something we as a board would vote on, though. Have we historically voted on things like this? Would this be a first for our school committee to do? I'm just interested in past practice for us.
So,
out of curiosity, really.
Yeah, I don't recall really a like kind of situation, but this is a resolution which basically is just sort of a statement, a political statement that says how we feel as a group, and we are certainly free to take a position or not take a position. My personal feeling, I told Ed when we first talked about it that my feelings were mixed. I agree with you about the students. Some students have trouble passing the tests, and especially kids who have learning needs and challenges. On the other hand, I think it's good to have some sort of a standard, not so much for the kids, but I think the MCAS is good for testing the curriculum and making sure that we're teaching to the curriculum. So, but I think that stays in place. The MCAS don't go away. It simply means that we're replacing that graduation requirement with, I guess that depends on our school district if they choose to replace that requirement with something else.
You have like credit requirements, right? Like they're not just getting there's graduation requirements without.
Oh yeah, they don't change. Right. They don't change. Would you add anything in place of the MCAS? That's probably a discussion for a different day. But yeah, we need to have rigid, strict graduation requirements. You can't just sit around and do nothing and graduate from high school. You have to pass, the required courses and get the required credits. The question is, do you have to pass the MCAS? And while I don't think it's a terrible thing to have to pass the MCAS, I can see how it's very difficult for some students, and for that reason, I am willing to support this request. So unless you want to talk about it some more, we could use a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move that we support this final paragraph, starting with the word "let," that just says, "Let it be resolved that the Burlington School Committee supports passage of question 2 to replace the MCAS graduation requirement and require instead that districts certify that students have satisfactory completed coursework demonstrating mastery of the skills and knowledge required by the Commonwealth's strong statewide standards in order to graduate."
Second it.
Is that okay? Is that enough for what you want?
I think that's more than enough. Okay, because again, as we said, it's an endorsement, right? That's just a template. So
Right.
I think that's absolutely fine, and I thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I just say
yes.
something briefly, because I don't want anyone to misconstrue my silence with apathy. I'm very passionate about this topic.
Do we want to know?
No, and I asked our educators, because this is a ballot initiative, not to advocate while they're working.
Correct.
I really encourage them to be active outside of work. I'm working now, so I'm trying to follow my own advice. So please, it's not apathy towards this topic, or one position or the other. I'm just trying to practice what I'm preaching.
Understood.
He can neither agree nor disagree, because that's his own rule.
Okay.
He's sticking to it. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion?
I guess I'd just like to ask, follow up to Megan's question, she kind of touched on the subject, should we be making political statements as a committee? I don't feel like it necessarily is appropriate for us to do that. If there's personal opinions we'd like to express, much like Dr. Conti said, in our professional or our personal capacities, we should do that. But as a committee, I don't necessarily believe we should be making political statements. I can get behind Melissa's edit, but I would have to know what we are going to use for a monitor and control, and what we're going to use in lieu of the MCAS data to monitor how our curriculum realignment is going before I could vote yes.
I don't think we would lose any MCAS data in this scenario, right?
No, we're not, but again, the MCAS data holds us to a standard a little bit more rigidly than if we're just doing it on our own. So again, it's just knowing what's coming behind this is where my real sticking point is.
So the MCAS won't change at all. It's just
Knowledge.
that if you have a student who...
It won't stop them from graduating. I'm aware.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right, is there any other discussion? Because we need to vote. And I understand Jeremy's concern. If you don't want to vote, you can abstain if you feel it's inappropriate, but, do what you want. All those in favor of Melissa's motion to make a resolution containing the last paragraph on this page, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstention?
I'll abstain.
Okay, so it is 4-0-1 that we have made a resolution stating our opinion on this article.
I do appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. I'm going to go home and try and get some sleep.
You're very welcome.
Be well.
Best of luck in your next soccer game.
All right, moving on.
Madam Chair, I guess the next item is the
Goals.
Planning for Success document that you all know runs through, I believe, 2025. So that document hasn't changed much. I have tried something very different from my goals in the past, and I'm not sure how comfortable I am, and I'm just learning about it. So through the Fox Hill Building Committee, we purchased an AI program called Thought Exchange. And if you all remember and experienced it, it's much more than sort of a survey document, because it looks at sort of Likert data, but it also, the AI looks at open responses and reads the open responses and allows sort of more interaction. So as I've been doing for the last 16 years, I put out a 360-degree survey using Thought Exchange last spring. I think I got something like 350 responses. I shared those responses with the committee, a summary of the responses. That is aligned with the district planning document and the feedback that I received. I asked the software for the top 3 measurable goals that resulted from the feedback that came out of the quantitative and the qualitative questions. And what you're seeing is what the software sort of produced. And it was intriguing to me because
Used AI for your goals.
the topics were, again, they have to be aligned because the computer did the work. There's a quantitative piece, so there's some that's measurable, and I believe there's also sort of a qualitative piece. My dilemma is I'm not sure who's going to respond again sort of next spring, and sort of that's the dilemma. So again, I'm trying it. I think that sometimes educational performance can be a bit squishy, and it's even been a bit squishy for some people on this committee, so I'm trying to make it less squishy. And I'm not an expert on how to prompt the AI, so you might have better prompts for the computer to ask. Again, my prompt was, what are the top 3 measurable objectives that came out of the feedback that I received? Again, from the data that the computer had received. And so it really looked at, again, improving communication effectiveness, which, again, I think you heard even some of that tonight. Sorry, my glasses. Foster innovation and improvement in teaching and learning. We have a lot of that going on. And strengthening community and business partnerships. So those are essentially what it said. I'm certainly open to redoing this. I'm opening to do it a more traditional way. I'm actually open to, if the committee members have a prompt that they want me to ask, I could try a different prompt. I just found this interesting, and please, I don't know how to say this well. I would never do this in my first year, as a superintendent, but I have enough sort of feedback, and I just wanted to try to utilize the tool that we have in the district moving forward. So I'm interested on your to hear your feedback.
Feedback?
I have specific feedback, but overall, I'm fine trying this. I think one of the times we talked about the improvement plan, there was like placeholders for metrics that were going to be like consistently reported on. I remember, I'm not fixating on this, it's just the one I remember was like the student absence rate, right? Like, so if this is something we're targeting, we're going to try, and it was either every meeting or once a month, we were going to try and follow that number. And again, I'm not particularly married to that metric, but I wonder if I agree with you that you could get a completely different people taking the survey year over year, and so it doesn't necessarily help you look at if you're trying. I see what you're trying to do, but I agree with you. If you have 300 people answer it one year, 32% strongly agree, and then a completely different 300 people answer it the next year, it doesn't mean you did anything better or worse if it's a different number. But I'm fine trying. I think these 3 goals are the top what I would want to see, so I think that's good. But I'd love to just see a little bit something beyond just moving the needle on the survey, right? And then I have some specific we can go into maybe in a minute.
Again, that's the point. We'd love to hear some metrics that you would want to measure.
Melissa, if I can,
Oh,
2
sure.
seconds. So I think you hit the nail on the head with kind of where my head was going with this, the sample size, right? Because if you, to Melissa's point, if you had 300 people one year and you have 50 people the next year, your progress can vary wildly based on your sample size. I think this is a great idea. I think maybe figuring out a few different ways to maybe measure the data would be a little better, or a little more predictable, I guess, versus just using strict sample size of respondents.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question back?
Keep going.
If we promoted the idea that we were using the feedback in this particular way, would we encourage more people to, I guess, participate? I guess is maybe what I'm thinking as well. Welcoming feedback and sort of thinking it as a gift, and these are the people who took the time to respond. So I guess I agree with what you're saying, and I'm not afraid of metrics. So I'm saying, but I want us all to agree on what those metrics are.
Catherine? I was just going to say, in addition to what we all talked about, the sample being different year to year, Are the questions exactly the same every year?
We try to keep the questions consistent, and the thought exchange questions we had to adapt, I think, a little bit for the software, but they're generally
The same, right. So
the same.
the questions are the same. You know, and like I said, the variable is the number of people and who. And I also think that each year, the who's and the experiences that you have year to year are very different, so the responses are going to be very different, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, I have to say, you know, I'm giving a pat on the back for trying this. I think this is great. You know, something new and something different. I agree. I think it came up with some really good suggestions. But yeah, I guess what I worry about is the sample and that we're getting consistent and good feedback that will be helpful.
And Madam Chair, again, I don't think we have to solve this tonight either. If you want some more time and to come up with measurables, we can certainly do that. It's not like I'm going to say, you know, we're going to stop work until I have the goals. I mean, I kind of get it at this point. So, and I want there, again, Ms. Massardo, I do want there to be measurable things that we look at. Some of the measurable things people always want to look at, I have very little control over, but I certainly can support those, the measurements, you know, moving forward.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just in addition, I mean, so if you look at this first, you know, one about the increased feedback on communication, and I like, you know, the action steps that you have. My question is, you know, how are we measuring that other than asking the question, did you feel that he communicated better this year? I mean, how are we, what's the scale you're going to use, right? So it's more of a, again, seeing, you know, from year to year, seeing a positive trend that people feel you're communicating better. Again, who's going to answer, right? Who's going to take that?
Right, but again, what I would say is we're looking at significant communication changes in the last couple of years. We've adopted a new communication platform that translates, getting everyone sort of up and trained and sort of moving forward.
Right, I agree.
Sort of getting feedback on, I would say, situational communication. Obviously, we had some feedback tonight that is asking us to try to improve that. So I'm saying we're listening to that, we're hearing that. So I think it would be up to me to provide some evidence towards that, but I think communication seems to be something that's fairly consistent that people comment on. So anyway, I don't want to talk too much.
No,
sorry,
you want
sorry,
to
Ms. Massardo.
Sure, so
details.
1 and 3, I feel like, so communication effectiveness and community business partnerships, I feel can be measured to some extent by teacher and parent feedback. Number 2, so the survey, and not perfect, but number 2, the improvement in teaching and learning, I feel like is where we definitely could use a more strict is the wrong word, but more kind of developed. Because if you ask, yeah, I mean, the kids' scores could be going through the tank, and if the parents are like, yeah, improving teaching and learning, then I don't love, like, are you feeling like teaching and learning is improving? I don't care how you feel if it's not working, you know what I mean? And this is where my specific feedback was, I think, between the literacy review and the math, the overall feedback I got was that the teachers feel like we provide them with the support, the staff, the curriculum, the strategies, but they don't have the structure to implement that consistently, or best practices or things like that. And I think some of that I think she used like the fidelity and integrity, right? Like, so we haven't figured out that range quite yet, and that's where I'd love to see us measure like best practice developed in elementary literacy. So some more like real hard structure deliverables out of this one, and then be it test scores, be it another review, but that is what I'd love to see in the improvement in teaching and learning. And there could be a survey aspect of that if teachers are feeling more supported, because it sounded like a lot of their feedback was positive. I have all this stuff, I just don't know what to do with it. And I don't know who's, if I'm doing better or worse than my peers. So that's my feedback on this improvement in teaching and learning.
And Megan?
I guess one of the things I was thinking about, and I'm not really all that familiar with the thought exchange, I haven't gotten to use it personally, but is there a way to track responders, individual responders' growth? So if somebody comes in and they say that they agreed last year, but now they strongly agree this year, is there a way to keep it anonymous but see growth by individual or subgroups, like elementary respondents are saying that they're seeing growth here, or high school, being able to understand where they're seeing the growth is just opposed to an overall picture.
We could certainly add different classifications of people responding. I think typically now we have teachers, students, community members, parents. We have sort of, I think, those four. We could add others, but the point of the thought exchange is that it is anonymous, and so
I think you do caveat by school, too, right?
I'm not sure I did my survey.
Oh, I can't remember. We can, but okay, maybe I can't remember. We've taken some.
Certainly, I could add more of those
Granularity,
qualifiers. We could certainly look at that. We did that for our school climate survey. I think that's where we did the school piece. And again, you could say don't use this tool at all, and I can create some other sort of measurable SMART goals. I think that's kind of it. But test scores are certainly one thing. I think I like growth scores better just because I'm not personally teaching the kids to read, but I need to provide the sort of the opportunities and the training and the schedule to do that. So I can certainly, I'm always looking at them, so would sort of happily incorporate them into sort of my performance. I just felt like last year the feedback or the feeling I got was this was too squishy a conversation. So I'm trying to make it less squishy, but I have kind of a squishy job. So I think that's the dilemma.
And I also think that using the progress monitoring tools that we're implementing, such as iReady and math this year, will be helpful to look at growth and improvements in learning too. I think we have new assessments that we can use.
And Jeremy, I just one more thing, and obviously Lisa and I shouldn't have different sets of goals either. So we have different aspects of what we do, but we should probably both align under sort of an umbrella that makes sense too. So I'm sorry.
Jeremy?
I think it kind of falls back to, having more than one data point, because I think it's unfair to rate on one data point, right? So like we were talking about with the district improvement plan, with, again, the literacy review. So as we identify, hey, we need this many teachers on staff with this qualification and that qualification, I think, setting those aspirational goals of over year 1, 2, and 3, we'd like to have this many teachers trained in this modality, that modality, whatever. While it's not necessarily a grade on whether you did a job right, what it does for this committee is help us go, all right, was it a resource challenge problem? Was it a scheduling problem? How can we support you to get the teachers what they need, right? And that's where I'm looking at this through, is getting that feedback not only on, hey, is the performance improving, but what are we not providing you? What can we advocate for you in the district to get those improvements to be realized, right? And I think that's kind of where we sit in this space.
Yeah.
I have some comments. When people, including myself, fill out questionnaires about, do you agree, do you strongly agree, it really has an awful lot to do with what have you done for me lately, and what kind of a mood are you in, and a lot of things that have absolutely nothing to do with you or your performance. It's just, oh, well, here's a survey, I'll fill it out. Well, the bus was late the other day. I'm gonna go with I don't mind if you use that tool for your own information, just to play with the tool, just to make some use of the tool. But I would not want that to be the basis on which you are evaluated in any way. I don't think the tool is that sophisticated or sensitive or meaningful, frankly. I mean, you want to use the tool, go ahead, but I wouldn't put much stock in it. I think that the goals need to be evaluated by people who are truly invested and are part of it and watch and see and care. Like when I find out that that my 8th grader is truly having a full Algebra 1 class, then yeah, you're going to get a high mark for that. And I could go on with details. There's no point in it because you get it. But do what you want with the tool. But frankly, using it as an evaluation tool for you personally, I don't buy it.
Okay, so seeing as you're all in agreement, why don't I just let me take another stab and I'll look at some multiple measures, which is sort of.
I think it's a great approach to be a little bit innovative, to try and use data in a different way, right? I think you're on the right track, maybe just missed a little bit left or right of center of what kind of the committee's looking for. I think it's a good approach to try and open up the aperture a little bit to find different ways to use the data we have.
And maybe if I change some prompts, and Ms. Massardo, I just want to make sure if I write to you the stuff that we discussed in the past, that we can make sure we include. And then.
It's a little bit like throwing the tests down the stairs. The ones that land on the top step get an A. The ones that land on the next step get a B.
Yes, and so I think that's a little bit like it, but, and like I said, I would go about this differently if it were my first year, but we'll try to work together to make this something that we can.
Play with it all you want.
Both live with, so we'll have to revisit this, and we'll keep trying. So
Okay.
I do appreciate the feedback.
Okay, is there anything else on that item?
No, ma'am.
Moving on, we have facilities, Fox Hill School Building Committee update. I think we all know. Oh, I'm sorry, how could I?
We just, again, we got some of the update already. We do have, I think, one quick addition, so.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, yes, so I just want to make sure that, first of all, this is an update, and it was written by Principal Mark Sullivan, so I just really appreciate his heartfelt words on this. But this is about receiving the honor roll, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl in partnership with Amica Insurance, Samuel Adams, Meet Boston Moderna, Boston Globe Media, and Extra Yard for Teachers will present the Wasabi Fenway Bowl honor roll, and this is a very huge distinction, and we are actually very proud of our recipient, and it's going to be Rick Sheehan. And so I'm just going to read a little bit about what Mark Sullivan has written about Rick Sheehan, who's been with us for many years. In many ways, Burlington High School is a vibrant, supportive, and progressive school. It is because of Mr. Sheehan. It would certainly be a different place without him. For 23 years, Rick has been the heart and soul of the BHS administration, impacting countless lives. He wears many hats: administrator, team member, collaborator, mentor, coach, and friend. He is known for an incredible sense of humor and a deeply personable approach. He has a rare ability to make everyone feel seen and valued. Well liked by colleagues and students alike, his dedication to helping others find their path is inspiring. After nearly 3 decades of unwavering service, his legacy of kindness, commitment, and positivity will be felt for years to come. In addition to his service as an educator and administrator, Rick has made an indelible mark as a hockey coach. He previously coached one of the best programs in the state, Central Catholic, and stepped up to coach Burlington's girls hockey team several years ago. He has made them state title contenders, guiding the Lady Devils to much success and helping dozens of young Lady Devils navigate the ups and downs of competing on and off the ice, always with a sharp wit and a warm smile. No matter when you see him, he's always laughing or making a joke. Everyone enjoys his warm, caring, and heartfelt personality. And again, we just want to wish congratulations to Assistant Principal Rick Sheehan.
That's
His
great.
team nominated him for this award, so he was selected from a group.
That's excellent.
And he also
Congratulations,
enjoyed
Rick.
his debut when there was a TV crew following him around. He loved that
I'm
day.
sure he did. Okay. Is there anything else under your report that I'm sorry I skipped over
No,
accidentally? Catherine?
I've made comments like this before, but you know how we have a lot of our local newspapers online and whatever? It'd be good to get these kinds of positive things out to the public. So I'm wondering if there's a way to reach out and get, these kinds of awards that we've announced meeting after meeting that we get that are unique and, only a few in the country will get. I just feel like, we hear a lot of negative things, and it's nice to get some of the positive out there. So I'm just trying to see if there's a way to reach out and start doing that a little bit.
Okay.
And for public communication.
Communication
PR.
goal.
Yes, communication
PR.
goals. Yes.
Yes.
You got it.
All right.
There's us.
Okay, so now we move on to Fox Hill School Building Committee. We're all very excited about last night, and Melissa, maybe you could tell us when the next meeting is?
We're working on it. I think nobody wanted to schedule any meetings without knowing the outcome. So October 1st was tossed around, but it sounds like Jeremy beat us to it. So we'll have to go back to the drawing board on that. But it's full steam ahead now. Let me see. We'll get a new schedule update. So we just finished schematic design, and now we move into detailed design now that the project has been funded. So we start interior, exterior, sustainability, all of those fun things to get some real detailed drawings. I believe shovels do not go in the ground until 2026, so there's still a ways to go, but it will continue to move forward. And we'll submit the detailed design to MSBA in the spring, in February, March timeframe, so the spring of next year. But yeah, so we'll have a meeting very soon.
Anyone else want to mention anything about Fox Hill?
Just
Thanks,
excited.
town meeting.
Yeah, thank you, town
for their
meeting. And
support.
yeah.
Thank you, Town Meeting. Thank you, Ways and Means. Doug Davison really made a
Thank
great
you.
presentation. Thank you to all of the individuals who worked hard behind the scenes to lock in votes. Thank you, Nolan Glantz, for all your help. It was really a great event last night. Okay, if there's nothing else on that one, the BHS Building Committee update, Catherine?
Yep, so last night, I was able to make a presentation to town meeting members and show the video, and I think it was enlightening for many of the town meeting members. I'm not sure they knew all the progress that we have been making, so I think that that was actually good that we were able to do that. The next event will be this Thursday at the Beer Garden. There'll be a table set up for anyone who wants to come and see what's going on with the project and talk to people about the high school project. We'll be there on Thursday. And then the next meeting is October 10th at 6:30. And again, anyone who is interested in taking a look at what we're doing, there's a couple of videos that are up there. I think the one we showed last night was the first one, but there's actually another one. You can look at the minutes. You can, just look at the progress in general. Go to the bhsbuildingproject.com.
Any questions for Catherine?
I thought you did a great job.
Yeah, I
with the
did too.
presentation.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people thought that people were very happy with that presentation, and it answered a lot of questions, people's concerns, so that was good.
Thank you to everyone who helped put that together, too.
Pine Glen, there isn't much more going on with Pine Glen right now, or is there?
Nothing new, but an update on the current status of the air conditionings. 8 of the units right now are fully functional. All of the units have been charged and electrified. So what that means is the pipes that are connected in between and electricity to all of those units. So the remainder of this week, we'll be getting into classrooms and then providing some training documents, et cetera, for how the staff can use those devices. Additionally, with Nicole's help and also the vendor, we are applying for a grant on this program. So of course, we don't have the exact data yet, but we're potentially looking at upwards of $100,000 in rebates available to us. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and say we have it. I just want this committee to know that we're applying for it and there's the potential for money to come back to us.
That'd be great. Be really good. Anyone have any questions on the Pine Glen? Okay. Next item is transportation update, and I know I have a comment on this, but who wants to go? Anyone else?
Yeah. I have a couple comments, please. So, couple things. So, since the start of school, we have issued one additional major update change that went out through Parent Square, and that was for the schedule and the routes. That does not mean we are done making changes. What it means is that any minor changes will be individually noticed to, at any residents or families that have made that request if it's been approved. And the reason I would call them a minor change, if it's only going to impact the schedule potentially, within 1 minute, then we would call that a minor change. Anything larger than that, then we will be sending out notifications. Another thing is that not new to us, but there's some requests that there may be some discrepancies on considered dangerous, whether from the school perspective, the bus perspective, or the family's perspective. So we are seeking the bus company, safety team, and then also, if needed, advice from the police department as well, just to review the stops. And nothing.
Explain that a little better.
Sorry, if I said that incorrectly, I will try to make that better. We get some requests every single year that claim the stop is either dangerous, the road is dangerous.
Or because of a curve or whatever.
It doesn't have something. So if it's been questioned or denied or not given to, then we usually proceed to the next step, which would be NRT safety team and or the police department to weigh in on that. So we are still reviewing situations like that. And again, everything is not a final no. It's more of let's get going. And if it's a real immediate danger, we definitely try to address that quickly. If it's not considered immediate danger by the initial person reviewing it, either myself or my team, then that gets pushed aside, notified to that requester, and then we'll continue to look at that. Also, I do want to make an update on the parent app. I have not got as many requests lately saying that the app is unstable. I've gotten a lot of notifications stating that the app has been more stable, which is positive. I know that there's been some communications with the communication team, myself, NRT, looking to set up some more frequently communications so we can relay not only to myself to the committee, but also directly through this channel. So we're looking to set up some times with that. Right now, no updates as far as changing or enlarging any of the geo zones, et cetera, have taken place. It's really about getting the app functioning and continuing to be stable. Also, we are continuing to work with parents and families in NRT themselves. So anybody who's having an issue logging into the app, we believe we're addressing those as quickly as we can. So once it's come to us, once we've directed them to update their information inside of Aspen, student information account, then we export that data and send it right to the bus company, and bus company NRT confirms, and then we make communication with the families to make sure that they're getting logged in. So I just want to report that communication is up. I'm sure we're still behind on some, and some that we still need to follow up on, so that will continue to happen. But again, we are not done with buses. We are just winding down on some of our major changes on routes.
Does anyone have any comments on the transportation before I do?
I had one question. Are the high school buses running on time? Are they getting to the high school? I know that last year that was the problem.
Last week and this week are good.
Okay.
We had some instances in the beginning of the year, so we did have to adjust some times and trim a little bit of when they started and stopped. So that was addressed in updates. We have 2 buses, which I forgot to mention. They're not specific to the high school, but bus 11 and bus 18. We're definitely watching the capacity of those. Those hover right around 54 to 60, depending on the day. On an elementary bus, 54 to 60 is easier than on a high school bus, 54 to 60. So I do get reports that, for some perspectives, that the bus is full and people need to stand. Again, I don't believe they need to stand, and we definitely don't want any kids standing. So we are looking to, again, adjust some of those routes to move some students to a different bus so we can free up some space on those routes. So we're watching those and making some adjustments.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that people are disappointed with the app, that it's not what they were expecting. I think people were expecting it to be more like the Find My on an Apple, on an iPhone, like you could find the bus, you could see where it is, you could see if it's gotten to the school, if it's left the school, if it's around the corner, you could follow it yourself. I think that's what was expected by a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of disappointment. I keep getting comments, messages, emails from people saying, why do we even have this app? It's not doing me any good. Or, there's just a lot of disappointment in the app from what I'm hearing. Now, maybe others feel differently, but that's the feedback that I'm getting. And I wonder, I suppose if your child was on the bus, let's say you had a high schooler on the bus and they had a phone and you had their Find Me dot, you could follow your own kid through their phone on the bus, right?
I think that's what a lot of parents do.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what they were, I think, both looking for and expecting, is that I can see if the bus got to the school, I can see if the bus left the school. All kinds of information that we're used to on an everyday basis, just using our own phones. So I don't think that it's as successful as I had hoped it would be.
I would say it's slightly different than Find My Phone, but you can, my son's bus doesn't cover a large area, so I have 2 circles and I can see the bus take the whole entire route. We did set up the monthly calls with the developers, and I think that's obviously what we're aiming towards, is just the ability to see it. But if you can set up multiple circles, and once it's in a circle, you can see where the bus goes.
So maybe people need more help in doing that because they don't understand how to set it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So one thing I was going to suggest, and we talked about this too, at one of the transportation meetings. Again, I think what you were saying is I think a lot of people were thinking that it would be kind of like tracking your Uber driver right up to the point where, they arrive in front of you and, where are you? And you see they went around the block because you missed each other, right?
You can see,
But my point is what you were just saying, right?
Yeah.
Is when we learned how to use the app, you can set up a bunch of zones. You don't have to just do it's a little more work than I think people were anticipated. So maybe we do some sort of, a training session or send a training video out to parents or something that shows how to set up all the many different zones you essentially can track the bus all the way through, from end to end.
The notifications just aren't enough.
I think one of the things that maybe maybe it was misunderstood, I thought it was communicated a little bit, was the live bus tracking app was like Spiral 2 of it. So the initial release was you're going to get a notification, and then that functionality be built in later as this beta application was matured, right? So I think maybe that's the communication that needs to be reinforced, is they're adding functionality on a regular basis. I had a very lengthy conversation with one of the tech support folks, and they do have a roadmap and a plan for Spiral development, and they're doing sprints bi-weekly to do performance enhancements and fix bugs as they come up. So I think that was one of those things maybe didn't get communicated quite as clearly, that the live tracking is coming, it's just not there yet.
A lot of people just don't know how to do it and don't feel
It's
comfortable
clunky. I will
asking.
tell you 100%. You have to actually name the route, then move the dot. So the dot defaults to your house, and it's a 1/4 mile radius, or home or school, right? You click home or
Also where
school.
you use the app.
Oh, it defaults to where you are?
Did it here,
Okay.
it would default.
All right, so it's your location, and you cannot move it in that first screen. I mean, I don't want to be live tech sport, but you have to name the route.
You have to do at
And
least 3 characters.
Name the route. Okay, yeah, you can't name it one. So I said, bus is coming, bus is almost here, and it's here. I named them. And that's the entirety of the route. But then you move the dot. And once it's in that radius, you can see the bus move down the streets. It's not, it's like Uber, like where it's like, oh shoot, it just moved a bunch in a second. So you can't be in the shower watching it go and then expect to jump out the door. So I think, but on the kid on the way home, you can kind of get an idea of where it is. But again, we are working with the developers, set up the monthly meetings with us. I think they were, for some reason, hesitant to show the entire route. And we've said the route is published. You can show the whole route. So I cannot imagine it is a big, the tracking exists. You can follow. So if they can expand that tracking radius, it should be a straightforward app update.
Yeah, if I could just add to the comment. So on no fault of anyone, we did not build the specs of the bus bid to define the role of what the GPS tracking would look like, nor the placement of the cameras, et cetera. So we asked whoever bid to provide us with the GPS tracking app, cameras on the bus, seat belts, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, the company initially wanted to roll this out later and committed to us to roll it out on day 2 of school, day 3 of school, so September 3rd. I personally believe, yes, we have some clunkiness in the beginning, sure, but I think that NRT has been pretty responsive with this app so far, and knowing that we're 1 month in and that there's a roadmap. I don't want to say that I'm confident by Christmas or confident by October 1st that we're going to have X features. I just believe that we'll have this company for a while if they uphold their parts of the bid, right? And, we're so new into this app that I believe it can only get better. So I'm confident with that, and I'm hoping that, people realize that we have a product and they can ask for more, and we can relay that information to the bus company. And, if their developers can make some of these changes happen in a timely manner, that's great, and we can push on that. But again, they have an open line of communication. They have tech support. I can commit to putting out more messages or putting out a message that has, some more additional steps. They have a marketing team as well, too, that can help with flyers, so I can connect with NRT to produce those. But again, we're, a few weeks in, and I'm feeling positive there. I hope parents and families also feel positive that we listened and that we have an app and that we're still listening and that we'll continue, to work with the company to grow the app. So.
Okay.
Question, do we have a time frame when we think that we will be able to live track the bus on the route? No other communities have the same capabilities with the apps that they use. So I'm just wondering how long it's going to take for us to get there, or estimate.
Yeah.
I'm not holding you to a promise.
I do not have a date, so I won't even comment on one. Again, we're just in conversations right now, and it's going to rely on their development team.
But it is a goal.
Yeah.
It's been discussed that that's a goal that we want to have.
Okay, I just want parents to understand so that those that really are lost, I wish there was a way to give them some information so that they could figure this out, because if you're just sitting there trying to do it and you can't,
Can we do a Parent Square update with the, either get the company to do a flyer, or we do a flyer with, noting you can add as many custom locations as you want?
Yeah, hopefully, I believe that was the message I just said.
Yeah, no, that's
So
right,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I intend to do, is
Okay.
to reach out to the marketing team of
Okay.
NRT, collaborate with them on a flyer, submit that through Parent Square, communicate with parents, and if we have additional information as far as timelines or anything, I will add that to my message. But again, right now, I don't have a comment on a time frame for that.
Okay, is there any, go ahead, Jeremy.
Last transfer station alibi that Melissa made me think of. So with the ongoing planned construction, we're starting to get the curbing in, which means paving is soon to follow. Do we have any plans for adjusting bus travel times, school start times? Do we need to start looking at that when Cambridge Street starts to get paved and we get a little more deep into this? Because I think that's going to cause a lot of snarls.
That's next year.
Yeah, that's a ways off.
Right. It didn't
They're still cutting in curbs, and they're going to start paving sidewalks.
Sidewalks, yes. They're not
Which is
paving the
gonna-
road until
But
2028,
being
I
when
think.
they're paving
Yeah.
sidewalks is going to disrupt traffic pretty.
Students who are walking too,
Yeah.
you might have an increase in kids who do need to take the bus because they are no longer able to walk to school. It could make some changes, I think you're right.
So I think there's basically definitely a risk involved with some of the construction right before it gets to winter that we get to kind of keep abreast of, or figure out when these things are going to be affected, and if it's going to cause us to make a shift, so we can communicate that out a little bit earlier.
Okay, is there anything else in transportation? If not, moving on to new or old business. Has anyone got new or old business? Catherine?
I would just like to say thank you to People Helping People for running their first Family Feud. I will say that the school committee won. And again, it did help a good cause raise some money. So again, all in fun. It was, good to see all the other community leaders out there supporting People Helping People, and it was fun to attend. And thank you, Lisa, for coming as well.
Yes, she was there to cheer us on.
She was there to cheer us on, so.
She brought us good luck.
It was a lot of fun, and thank you, People Helping People, for throwing that event. And again, we were just, good luck for those next year.
I'd like to thank my brother Jason for standing in for me, but he really
It was you, we know. All right, anyone else? Because I have a couple of things.
Just one quick
Go
one for
ahead.
me. We touched on it it was touched on last night. So again, the 20-year capital plan, understand it's a ever-moving target. I think, with our Ways and Means Rep Cheyenne here, we need to at some point slap the table and say, this is 24's plan. I just want to make sure that we do it in a timely fashion so it meets your planning cycle. So if we can kind of understand that, that would be helpful for us to make sure we're meeting your planning cycle. So as year over year, we update the plan, it's meeting your needs and then getting to you in a timely fashion so it can be considered.
Okay, Bob?
Can I make one comment on that, please?
Sure.
There's still going to be things that come up unexpectedly, right? So I just want, obviously, the committee to recognize that, that's a anticipation on a board, right? But tomorrow, if something happens, then there may be some additional requests that obviously aren't documented or known at this time.
If a building floods, we're just not going to pay for it.
Well,
There you go.
we will.
It's not on there yet.
That works.
Yeah.
Okay, so the things that I want to mention have to do with the incidents that took place Friday and today. And the first thing I want to mention, and Bob's going to throw something at me because he thinks I'm a pain about this. The Wi-Fi in this building does not work for the students. And also, it doesn't work unless Bob sets up some separate arrangement, like if there's a dance recital or some kind of event. And so people can't Venmo each other money, or they can't, share their tickets, or they can't do whatever they do, get a program online, unless Bob goes out of his way to set up a separate Wi-Fi for them to use for that event. And the kids, like in an instance like Friday or like today, kids get really, really upset. I mean, you can't blame them, right? Look at them here tonight. They wouldn't have been here if they weren't really upset. And the fact that they can't use their devices because they can't get a signal and they can't get Wi-Fi To me, that's something that we should be looking to fix. And I know you told me it would be expensive to fix and that it would involve a lot of work to fix, but I just want to bring it up and say, I think it's something we should be looking at doing. So that's number one on my.
These are two separate issues though, right? Like, we don't have a public Wi-Fi, A, and then the students have I'm okay with that, but, and then the existing Wi-Fi is poor? Is that what you're saying?
No. I would like to
You can't get
comment,
enough
just for
devices.
clarity.
Students can't get on the Wi-Fi? Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah,
understand.
so we do have a public Wi-Fi that is available in
Okay.
every single one of our buildings, in every single part of this building, within reason, unless you're underground. That's a guest network, and it's available, and people just have to put in an email address and then pick the amount of time that they want to be on, and they do not need authorization to do that. That's available in broadcast. It does take an extra step, but that's pretty much business standard for guest Wi-Fi's across, most businesses. So that is available. Yes, we do have the ability to set up a special network at any time. Obviously with notification, we can set that up for a town meeting. It would be called town meeting. So if there was an event or a dance, we could do the same exact thing. Obviously, security is a concern, so we don't want to just open up a network and leave it open all day long. The reason I say that, allowing access would be expensive is that we have an expensive and we have a great network. The thing is that's focused on the work environment. So that's the student devices, teacher devices, cameras, et cetera, and phones. What we've seen in the past is that when an average student brings one device and some bring two, right, we don't get to decide that my phone connects to that access point, right? So when you're congested in a building like this that has over 150 access points, what happens is at lunchtime, 300, 400 students now are connecting 1 to 2 devices, and then what will happen is it'll shut down a wing with so much congestion, right? So if you go to a baseball game and then you try to use your phone, you'll realize that the network's not great there, unless they've invested a ton of money into it. So I don't want the message to be that we have a poor network. I want the message to be that our network is focused on our internal devices, and external devices become second tier. That being said, external devices can connect to the guest network, and they do have a less priority, right? So if you wanted to stream YouTube videos as a teacher in the classroom, you have a priority. But if I'm a guest and I bring my phone and I want to stream YouTube videos, I don't have a priority, so I'm going to experience a slower network. So there is the ability for students to connect. There is the ability for you all to bring external devices and connect, and for people who attend any events here to connect. So I just want to make that clear that, we're definitely open to making some changes or making some suggestions. I would just cautious that in today's world, allowing unfeathered access to our internal network with guest devices that we have no control over is not something that any security expert or any person who's read one security magazine would ever recommend.
So I'm not recommending that. What I'm recommending is that the experts, which I'm not, find a way so that if I'm a 16-year-old girl stuck in a bathroom by myself when there's a lockdown and I want to text my parents, I'm able to do it. That's what I want them to be able to do. I think we're all about safety, we're all about the kids. I think that is a glaring deficiency in our ability with the network for the kids to communicate when they feel that it's important or necessary. And this isn't new. This has been going on for years. I've got 15 grandkids, and the ones that have gone through, every single one of them has complained, I can't use my phone, I can't text,
Use
whatever.
their personal device on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a way to improve cellular service?
Well, that's what I was just going to ask, is there a way to get boosters to get the cellular to work better?
You can't get it through these walls very well.
So there's a challenge, right? So Bob tried to touch on it, but basically what he was talking about is a class network. So again, you have your main users, and then anyone else that's not a main user that's a verified device can connect, but you get a meter connection. So to overcome that, you would have to basically lay in a whole new network that's in a sandbox that doesn't touch our actual network, which also connects the town network for that security. So we'd basically have to spend quite a bit of money duplicating every access point in here, or buy a mesh network kind of ad hoc self-healing thing that also becomes very cost prohibitive when you're doing those to set them up without the wired infrastructure.
Okay.
All possible, just it does come with a cost, I guess.
I know it does.
I will commit to investigating that and
Okay.
seeing what options are there, and I will share my my recon with this team, and we can discuss some options.
I can't wait. Okay, now, on the issue with, there was one door today where the lock was new and the key was stiff in the lock, is that correct?
Correct.
It did work, but it was difficult to do.
Correct. So after today's incident, I was notified, and there was some public communication that there were multiple doors. In my records, I do not have anything that states that there are multiple doors. We do have an online system here that staff can use and to report those. So word of mouth is one thing. Actual knowledge of something is what I explained today. So we were aware of one door. There was a help desk ticket in last week. Our maintenance staff did go and replace that door and verified that it was functioning at the time of repair. Today, after the lockdown, the principal had reached out to our maintenance staff for the same issue of that door being sticky and the key was not functioning correctly. Our maintenance staff attended to that door today. So again, on record, I'm aware of one, and that's what took place today, and that's what was repaired today. I do also want to make note that, we had a lockdown drill at another building in same situation where a door was brought to our attention that may not have been functioning correctly, and that was addressed. So we do have staff, in our maintenance department, custodial staff and teachers that do touch these doors on a daily basis. The time in between, no one knows exactly what happens, but they are frequently used. If we are notified from a maintenance staff, building staff, principal staff, et cetera, of these, please know that we will try to address them as soon as possible, and we have the in-house staff to do that. But publicly, I am not aware of multiple doors today in this building that have been known to malfunction or not working or not shutting, that were on record that we did not address.
I think what I'm reaching for is a safety protocol where teachers or whoever is in charge of locking or unlocking their doors, that they check those locks preferably daily, that you don't, if there was really an incident today, if it had been real and not, just a false alarm, can you imagine if there was a door that didn't lock and there was a problem as a result of it? I think that the staff members using those classrooms should be checking those locks all the time. And I think it should happen in every building, and I think it should happen for every door. So one of the things about Fox Hill School that I'm so relieved we'll be replacing is all of those classroom doors. Doors need to lock, and we need to know that every one of them locks every single time. So I don't know how you go about it, if you could put out some sort of a memo or a reminder or something so that the doors are checked all the time.
Yeah, we certainly put out a reminder, as Bob said, it is part of the drills that we do. When we do a lockdown drill, the police go through and check to make sure all the doors are locked, and if there's a door that's not functioning, it gets fixed. So,
Yeah, but that isn't when you want to find it.
I understand, but I'm just saying, we're not ignoring this, and I think we're spending time on it, and I think the door was repaired, and the parts were replaced, and it was functioning. So I think there was a key issue, and so I think what you're asking is people need to practice with their keys and move forward.
Make sure that the
I think
doors
one of the
can be
things that was
locked.
being stated is that we weren't repairing, and that's just not the
That's not
just
true.
not
Right.
the case.
I have a
Can I
question.
just add to that comment? Sorry to cut you off. I just want Just so I'm factual with you
Sure.
all, I am aware of a card reader at another building, Francis Wyman Elementary, that is not functioning. The door is functioning, the lock is functioning, the key function is working, and there are multiple doors out front. But one of the panels is not working. So that is a part that we do have on order. It does not attract away from the door. It just allows you, right now, you cannot swipe your card
To get in
on
that door.
one door. So that is something that we have on record, and the part is on order. Yeah.
Okay, and, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it could be just as simple as everyone's required to lock their door every night and check that it locks, and they unlock it every day. I mean, that could be the daily test, that it's functioning properly. I mean, it doesn't, you know.
It's terrible that we live in this day and age, but we do. And so the fact that we have to be careful with doors, it's a nuisance, but it just needs to be done.
One more question.
Go ahead,
Have we
Megan.
ever investigated a secondary door lock system, a backup, like a flip lock that can go, it'd be an additional safety feature in case of an emergency situation? I know we have a system where our doors are closing and they're locking, right? They're supposed to function just so, but, you know, I'd hate to be in a situation where, you know, we find out the day, like you mentioned, the day of, that there's a problem and the door can't lock.
I don't want to speak out of turn, so I'll try to tread lightly on this, and I don't want to speak for the police department or the fire department. I know that in the past, we've had some locks that were questionable because they don't provide access from the outside and they become a hindrance. So something like a flip lock or something like an internal lock, let's say to a bathroom that doesn't have a key access to the outside, becomes a safety and a fire hazard externally. Similarly, putting some types of locks like that, so we have had discussions, and I think what happens is that myself included, people get wary on wanting to recommend putting something like that in place, because it's not really a clear answer. For in that situation, it becomes invaluable, but for the rest of the time, it becomes a hindrance.
I know that the Revere put them in about, 8 months ago, and that you're able to unlock the flip lock from the outside. Like law enforcement, you know, our SROs on site would have a tool that would be able to open up the flip lock from the outside in time where they're coming to clear a room, so that we don't have to have people come and unlock it.
So through the chair, Mr. Wojcik, we wouldn't resist that recommendation from the police department as they go through and put the sort of, they continually update their safety plans. If that's something that they felt would enhance the situation and they asked, we would certainly follow that recommendation. So I think it's a great question. We are asking, we have an annual safety meeting, which we've had, and then typically the leadership of the police will come and have an executive session with the committee. We're going to try to get that on the books in the next couple meetings, and we can start. They don't have to wait till this time of night. We'll start with an executive session and then go from there. So I think that'd be a great question for you to ask them, and we really try to support the initiatives that they want us to follow.
Yeah, I think it's be a great conversation to have and to look into with them and seek their guidance on that as well.
Okay, and my last thing that I just wanted to say is if there are any parents watching, listening, or who will watch or listen on a rerun, we're sorry that the events took place on Friday and today. Today, I think it's pretty clear there was simply a malfunction, and a lot of students got frightened, but everyone was safe, and it was the police did a fantastic job. They did exactly what they should have done, and we depend on them, and they're great. We couldn't ask for a better police department. As far as what happened on Friday, although we can't go into any detail, everything's taken care of, and you don't need to worry about a repeat of what happened on Friday. And I hope that everyone has a very smooth rest of the week, month, year, and that we don't have any more incidents to upset our parents and our students.
Of course. So again, Madam Chair, I think during the meeting, speaking to them about the police about cell phone use would be a great question as well, because I think they might offer a different perspective than was discussed tonight. And then you had also gotten a call about providing some information to town meeting about the event from this morning. Is that?
It was suggested to me that the police be commended for their quick action and what a great job they did at town meeting. I think we have an outstanding police department, and we should recognize their actions and how quickly they took care of our problem.
Again, could be rumor through the chair, but I heard there were police officers who were off duty that came into action. I mean, that you can't ask for more than that. So,
yeah.
Okay, so
that's it. Yeah, it was suggested to me. What do you think of the idea?
Anytime we can recognize our police department, I'd say we should. So I think that's a positive thing. So if you'd like me to do it, I can.
Absolutely.
For the beginning.
Absolutely.
May not stay through all the zoning articles, if that's okay.
Can't say I blame you for that. Yeah, it's just unfortunate all this happened, I hated seeing the kids upset.
So 2 in a row.
Yeah, exactly, 2 in a row.
That's hard.
Fortunately, I have an insider to tell me what she experienced, and it wasn't especially fun, but she's tough, and it didn't really shake her up too much, so that's good. So if there's nothing else to come before the committee, we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.